Good Tuesday evening, everybody. It is August 22nd, 2023. I want to welcome everybody back into the live show here on the LTL podcast. 13-hour workday. Now I come here and do my second job. But tonight we're going to get into Rachel Morin. It has been 4 or 5 days since the video has been released of the potential suspect, and there is a suspect still at large in Rachel Morin's murder. It's really sad. The country is scouring for this individual that has been connected out until that LA attack. And I would have thought by now someone would have said or seen something, and we just aren't getting any breaks in this case yet. I do want to welcome in everybody to the live chat. We're going to go up here. We have Danielle in the house. Danielle, I hope you're feeling well. I know you were pretty banged up right now. And listen, I appreciate you watching the show while you're recovering. So our well wishes are to you. And I hope you get better soon. Kathy's in the house. Harley Girl is here. We have Dina in the house. Tsunami's hanging out. Vanderhoof is here. COVID or Cover. That's a new name. Haven't seen that yet. Welcome to the live show. Frazier's here. Ron's in the house. And that's all we got right now. So the chat will hopefully fill in. If not, we'll just keep going on. That's all we do. We just keep moving on. Janet just popped in. Bonnie's here as well. Listen, the best way to get my notifications is if you turn on all your bell notifications when I go live. Victorine's coming to hang out as well. All right, let's get into the first order of business this evening. I have an article here from The Independent, and it says, Rachel Morin update, Maryland police to offer reward to catch suspect seen on LA break-in video. And I know it's been weird, figuring out what is going on, because we heard it was a home invasion. Then we heard it was a SA attack. And then it was a home invasion and an SA attack. And then it was a burglary. It was like, what is going on out in this LA break-in? And it's saying here, even break-in video. But let's read the article here. Let's read the article and we'll see what they say. So here's the updated story from 12 hours ago. DNA found at scene of Morin's murder matches DNA left at home where an unknown man broke into a home in Los Angeles and violently attacked a young girl back in March. All right, so we're getting a little bit clearer as to what happened, because there was a lot of mishmash of information going on of actually what was going on out in that LA house. So the Independent goes on to say, Maryland police are planning to offer a reward to help catch Rachel Morin's killer, who remains at large more than 2 weeks on from her 2 weeks on from her murder. The Hartford County Sheriff's Office told Fox 45 News on Monday that the department was working with Metro Crime Stoppers to come with a reward. It is not clear how much the reward will be. Morin, 37, was found dead after heading off for a long walk on the Ma and Pa Trail in Bel Air, Maryland on the evening of August 6th. And I also want to note this too. Mother of five. Last week, the Hartford County Sheriff's Office announced a major break in the case, revealing the DNA found at the scene of Morin's murder had been matched to the DNA left at a home where an unknown male broke into a home in Los Angeles and violently attacked a young girl back in March. The suspect, a Hispanic male aged 20 to 30, was caught on a home security camera leaving the LA home. Over the weekend, hundreds of community members took part in a tribute walk in memory of the mother of five. So we have some key points here. Maryland police find DNA and Rachel and video in Rachel Morin's case, but still haven't named a suspect. Rachel Morin was found dead on a popular Maryland hiking trail. Her sister says she did not go willingly. Man who described grisly state of Rachel Morin's body never actually saw it, sheriff says. Oh, Maryland, and then so we have some highlights here. Maryland police plan to offer a reward. We've already talked about that. A friend reaching out, talking about Rachel. Richard Tobin posts, and this is Richard Tobin was Rachel's boyfriend at the time. She says, "You showed me how rewarding it is to be a man and be treated like a queen. Making you happy gave me joy every day, and I'm so glad I could give you that," Morin's boyfriend wrote. Mr. Tobin posted a photo of himself holding flowers while looking at a tree with Morin's photo plastered to it. This is just so sad. Really sad. And, we need to find this guy that is responsible for this. We need to find this individual who's responsible for this. Rebecca Morin posted a poem in honor of her late sister. "I wish you sweet sleep, my sister dear. Although there is so much that you have left bare, I hate that you had to endure such pain. On my mind, your saddened eyes left a stain. I want to know what crossed your mind, unspoken words you left behind. Undo things will never do. No sharing thoughts you never knew. A peaceful has fallen upon your head. A tasteful sorrow will we have fed. It's really like a hole in our lives, one swiftly dug but carved out by the knives. But I hope that these sleeping will rise. The Bible says God will open their eyes. No suffering, sickness, yes, and even pain. Those who did good, eternal life they'll gain. So sleep on, my sister, sleep tight. For now with you the sky is night, but after night will come daybreak. Therefore I will wait, hoping to see you awake." Really, really touching. And then it talks about hundreds take part in community walk for Rachel Morin. Rachel Morin was remembered over the weekend as hundreds of community members took part in the tribute walk along the Mom Pa Trail in Bel Air, Maryland, where the mother of five was murdered. A 5K walk called Rachel's Last Steps was organized by Morin's sister Rebecca and took place on Saturday. Community members came out to pay tribute to 37-year-old the walk before heading to Flavor Cupcake Bakery and Cafe, where 20% of its sales were donated to support Morin's 5 children. So just a little bit more of just recapping, stuff that we already know. But let's get out of the article here, and we'll go to some updates. This was from 4 days ago via Fox Now, live now from Fox. And let's pull this up here. And then the headline says, "Rachel Morin's murder, DNA links suspects killer to crime over 2,600 miles away." Let's keep.
Welcome back here to Live Now from Fox. This is Andrew Kraft here. Breaking news, we go out to Harford County, Maryland. We just heard from the sheriff's office there. They said that they are using DNA to link the killer.
Wow, look at this. Michelle says there's a guy that tried to assault a woman in a park near Lakewood Crossing to across to Denver News. There's great camera shots of his face, Hispanic, around the same age. He looks like the same guy. Wow, very interesting. Let's see if we can find some news on that. Thanks for dropping that in the chat. Let's see. Okay, we have there is an update here. This was August 21st. Let's pull this up really quick. I did find an article on it. Let's see what we got. Michelle, thanks for dropping that in the chat and bringing us aware. It was really great information. So this is from 9 News. Woman sexually assaulted while running near Lakewood Park. Police are searching for suspect. Police said the incident happened where Walker Branch Park in Lakewood. Again, we don't know for sure if this is the suspect or a potential suspect. Colorado is obviously in between Maryland, from LA to Maryland. So we don't know if this is the particular person, but it's a good it's a good point for Michelle to bring up. Let's look at this and read the article. So it says Lakewood, Colorado have identified a suspect accused of sexually assaulting a woman who was out for a run in the park earlier this month. Police said the incident happened around August 6th, around 12:45 p.m. Okay, so the problem I have already is that Rachel Morin was attacked and killed on August 6th. So to make it from Maryland to Colorado would probably be a huge stretch in that amount of time. But I mean, it's not a bad idea to bring it up. Police said the man saw the woman on the run by a park and started to follow her. The suspect followed a woman for almost 2 blocks southbound and then attacked her from behind with both arms, fondling her, according to police. And then he ran away north on 16th Ave. So let's see here. This looks like this is a picture of the suspect here. This guy looks a little bit skinnier than the suspect that we saw in Rachel Morin. And let me just pull that up. We'll take a look. Let's see. So this is from... So this guy looks a little bit bigger than the guy in the Colorado attack. His shoulders are a lot broader. The guy in the Colorado attack looks a little bit skinnier. But it's not a bad match. I mean, it's pretty damn close. Michelle, I think you might have something there, but the problem is, Rachel was attacked. Yeah, at least 80 pounds thinner, 50 pounds, 80 pounds. Ron was saying, but it's not a bad point to bring up. You never know. You never know. But this guy probably is local. So, but thank you for bringing awareness to that. And of course, now we have that story out for awareness as well too. But let's go back here to this video here.
Rachel Morin, there you see her, to an assault and home invasion in Los Angeles back in March. Okay, so we're going to play this most recent press conference. Rachel Morin's body was found August the 6th there in Harford County, Maryland. But DNA linked to the suspect in this.
Ali, if you're still in the chat, what's up, dude? I didn't see you typing.
The Rachel Morin murder case. So right now we do want to bring you this latest update from law enforcement there in Harford.
So we're just gonna go back to that. I like always going back. So we're gonna go back to the actual press conference, the 10-minute press conference, and just get a refresher on that.
County, Maryland.
Good evening. I just want to apologize for the rescheduling. We had a lead come in at 3 o'clock that we needed to run down before we did this press conference. As of right now, that lead hasn't panned out for us, but we're still out there investigating it. So that's why we had to postpone this press conference. So first off, I just want to start off by saying thank you for coming out tonight. I'm Colonel William Davis, Chief Deputy of the Harford County Sheriff's Office. I know this briefing comes in late in the day, but last night we received critical pieces of information, and our detectives have been working throughout the night and today, running down our new leads. Once the new evidence came to light, Sheriff Gaylor was adamant that we needed to inform our community as soon as possible, and that's why we're here tonight. As you know, since Saturday, August 5th, 12 days ago, the Harford County Sheriff's Office has been working around the clock to get justice for Rachel Morin and hopefully bring peace to her family. Since that first day, over 300 community tips have flooded our inboxes and emails. Her death has grabbed local, state, national, and international headlines, everyone with the same goal: find the killer and bring justice to Rachel. DNA evidence is part of nearly every modern-day investigation, and in Rachel's case, DNA evidence was collected by our Forensic Services Unit. That DNA was analyzed by the Maryland State Police, and it was ran through the National CODIS system. This DNA evidence has come back as a match, tied to a home invasion and an assault of a young girl in Los Angeles this past March.
Yes.
Unfortunately, that suspect has not been positively identified, but he did leave behind his DNA. Based on the DNA evidence, we consider the individual in the video we obtained from the Los Angeles Police Department and that we are about to show you on our TV screens to be the person that murdered Rachel Morin on August 5th. So we're now going to show the video. And just so everyone's aware, this video, after this press conference, this video will be posted on our social media. All right, you want to play it one more time? Okay. When you're ready, I said we're going to post it on our social media. Based on our analysis of this video and witness observations, we believe the suspect to be approximately 5'9", 160 pounds, and of Hispanic descent. If you have any information about this suspect, we are asking you to please call our detectives at our tip line. And the tip line number is 410-836-7788. And we've also established a dedicated tip email address, and that email address is rmtips@hartfordsheriff.org. Again, that's RM, as in Rachel Morin, tips @hartfordsheriff.org. We want to make it clear that we believe the suspect acted alone, and he doesn't represent the entire Hispanic community of Hartford County, who we are now partnering with to identify this suspect. I know I can speak for the sheriff when I say we are immensely proud of this community. Our community will not be defined by this tragedy.
It's strange that, you look at this potential suspect, okay? He was in LA and, this attack happens in Maryland, but his DNA matches. So now you have to look at like a couple of different things. Was he a resident of LA, had this attack on this young girl and fled and went all the way to the East Coast to get away and ended up in Maryland? Maybe he had some friends or family around there just to get away. Or was he like on, getting away, like being on the run? Or was this guy originally from Maryland and went out to LA to visit some people or friends, and he had, did that attack and then left and came back? So that's, things. Or is this guy that's just wandering the country doing this stuff, maybe jumping on dating apps or something like that and meeting up with women, around the country. And you don't know, there could be other attacks that are out there. So it's kind of a weird story because it's such like major distance in between both attacks. And who knows if this attack out in LA was like a test, and then he sees Rachel out in Maryland, and that's when his first strike is. Or is this guy involved in multiple murders? We don't know. Looking at him, I heard some like rumors out there saying like, people were talking about he could be previous like military because of his build. He looks pretty fit. His shoulders are very wide. Is this guy like previous military or something like that? So it's very strange. The video is very, very strange because it almost looks like you can see the girl is mad. She slams the door on him, but it almost looks like they were in the act of doing something, and he picked up his clothes because he had no shirt on and was kind of ushered out of the house. So was it like they were hooking up and something went too far? Or did he start to take his clothes off and pushed himself on her? We know that she was underage. So, maybe she snuck him in. They hooked up off a dating app or something like that. I don't know. It's just a really, really strange video. It's really, really strange. It's almost like he was supposed to be there, and then something happened inside that house that girl was not happy with, and obviously got him out. And you can almost see like him motioning from like his chest, like, hey, I'm sorry. Or, I mean, that's what I see when I see it, like, hey, I'm sorry. Or please don't tell anybody, or something like, let's not talk about this. It's really weird. It's just really, really weird. Crystal says, Harley says exactly. Crystal says, oh, good. You guys are on the same page. Vanderhoof is agreeing as well. Kathy says she's lucky to be alive. Absolutely. Yeah. And Just a Girl made a good point up too. He could travel for work. Maybe he's a truck driver, a long haul truck driver, where he goes East Coast to West Coast or something. I don't know. It's really weird. That video is very, very strange. And, we can bring it up and we'll play through it again tonight. But let me get through the rest of this press conference, and then we'll move on to some more updated news that's going on right now.
Our community is one that will work together to get the job done and bring this suspect to justice. In the meantime, in the light of this new evidence, I urge our citizens to use caution while walking on our trails and throughout our community. Be alert, walk with a friend, don't allow yourself to be distracted by your cell phone or headphones. And finally, if you see something that makes you feel uncomfortable or that you think is suspicious, act on those instincts and call 911. And lastly, we will continue our increased presence on the Morin Pod Trail. And now I'll open it up to questions.
Colonel, do you have any other details on what happened in Los Angeles, exactly where, or anything about what this person did there?
And Bezos makes a good point. Just because you're a guy, that doesn't mean anything too. You need to be on alert at all times. I mean, I'm seeing videos out there where people are literally pulling in to wash their cars and they're getting carjacked. I mean, you got to be vigilant all the time. If you're a man or a woman, or, however you identify, you got to be vigilant all the time. And that's why, like, when I pull in at night or anywhere I pull in during the day, I'm always looking around me, like, who's here, who's around me, where are people coming and going? Where's a good exit route if I need to get out? I'm like that everywhere. Even if I go into like a store for a length of time or a place that I'm going out to eat, I always look like, where can I get out of here if I need to go? Those are the things, unfortunately, these are the things that we have to start looking at now in our lives, because people are crazy. I mean, you look at things like, you can just be out at a mall and you end up in an active shooter situation now. I mean, that attack down in Texas not too long ago, the people that shot up down in I think it was Atlanta and Tennessee just recently. So, you always have to be looking around. You always have to be vigilant in where you're around. What's going on out there. I'm always looking around in my environment. All right, let's keep
So when it comes to the details about Los Angeles, that's the information that the Los Angeles Police Department has, and we were just going to refer people to the Los Angeles Police Department to get those details. The only thing I can tell you was an attack on a young girl.
Have you heard about a possible motive? Like, was Rachel missing any money or anything like that?
So we are not going to talk about the crime scene at this time, because as I've said in previous interviews, we don't want to talk about the crime scene or what happened at the crime scene, because once we catch this person, we want to make sure we got the right person. And the only people that know what happened at that crime scene when we catch the person is us and that suspect. So we're not giving any details about that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
No, you're fine.
Again, how did you come across, what led you to this particular suspect, this person?
So we collected DNA from our crime scene. The Maryland State Police analyzed that DNA for us, ran it through the National CODIS system, and that came back as a match to the crime that occurred in Los Angeles, where they had recovered DNA from this person that you saw in the video.
The video that we watched, tell us about it. I mean, what Los Angeles Police released it to you, but what is it? Is that his home? Is it at the scene of a crime?
That is at a home, and that is the suspect leaving the scene of the crime there.
So that was a home invasion and assault, you said, right?
Correct.
Oh, a little girl? Was that what you said?
A young girl. That's what I'm going to leave it at, a young girl. I don't want to talk about the family there, but it was a young girl in the house that got assaulted.
What does this?
So, home invasion of a young girl. So maybe this person is familiar with that home. Maybe this person was asked to not come around that home and found maybe his way in. It's just an odd video, because she walks him to the door and gets him out. What do you all think? Let me know in the chat. Because I'm just baffled by that video. It to me, it almost looks like, and I don't know what happened in that house, but when I look at the video, it was like someone that came into the house, something obviously happened that wasn't supposed to happen, and that girl ushered him out. So it's odd. Yeah. could be statutory. But they said home invasion. So did he force himself in the house? I don't know. It's just odd. That video is just weird.
It's due to the case, Colonel. You have an image now of the person you think is believed to be
Correct.
responsible for this. What does that do for the case?
Well, I think now it kind of leads us down the path that we believe this was a person that Rachel probably didn't know, or maybe you could say potentially a random act of violence. And we're hoping that the community now can watch that video, and we also got still pictures that we're going to be putting out, and that somebody can identify him.
Have you narrowed it down to a certain area? Do you think he could still be like somewhere on the Montauk Trail?
We don't have any clue where he could be. We don't even know if he's still in Harford County or in the state of Maryland, because obviously in March he was in California, and then here in August he was here in Maryland. So we don't know if he's still here or not.
Do you have any evidence that he was targeting people along that trail, or do you believe this was, completely random?
I'd only be speculating. We do not know.
Do you think he may be armed, getting weapons or anything like that?
Yeah, I know. Me too.
Again, speculation.
You describe him, Colonel, as 5'9", 160, Hispanic male. Do we have an approximate age? Or
Oh yeah, we believe he's in his
Oh, that's true
low
too.
to mid-20s.
Wow, great point, Angela. Angela says, could have been the girl's mom pushing him out before someone else got a hold of him. That's a really great point. Yeah, maybe a parent pushing him out. Maybe he was found his way into the house or something. I don't know. It's just really strange. Wow, that's a great point. Maybe we'll pull the video up and take a look.
For when the Los Angeles invasion happened?
I'm just going to put out that it was in
Really
March.
great point.
The Los Angeles Police Department knows that we're doing this press conference, so if you called them, they would probably be able to give you that information.
How rare is this to have a DNA hit from the other side of the country, and talk about that whole process and how that worked?
This is the first time I've seen a hit in a case that I've been involved in that was that far away for a DNA hit. So I wouldn't say that it's unheard of, but certainly unusual.
For the record, you don't have his name or
No, that's what we're looking for.
Like where he lived or anything like that. Is he from LA or?
We don't know. We know nothing more about him other than he was in LA and committed that crime in March, and he was here in August and is the murderer. We believe to be the murderer of Rachel Morin.
to follow up on that question, you identified him through DNA evidence.
Yeah, me
through the
too.
database. So there's no name associated with
No.
that.
No, there's no name associated because it's just evidence from a crime that was submitted, and his DNA on it, like being arrested and getting DNA, that none of that is in the system. However, we are working with we have called the FBI, and we are working with some of their DNA experts in their crime lab that try to help us further analyze this DNA.
Without compromising the investigation, can you tell us? Rachel was found.
Correct.
And it was determined that it was a homicide.
Correct.
Was there trauma? Was she beaten? What was the nature?
All we've said so far, and I think we're going to leave it at that, is that it was a violent attack.
But there's no relationship at all between Rachel and the suspect.
Well, again, we just got this information last night. Not that we have been able to determine yet that we don't know of any relationship or that they were known to each other before this incident. So I can't really say, but right now, no.
Obviously, this is it already has the community on the edge.
Absolutely.
If somebody out here who just murdered someone. What's your message to the community? Obviously, people are scared, out here.
Yeah, we want our community to be vigilant. Obviously, the Mom Pod Trail has been open since the day after Rachel was discovered. We have a very large amount of deployment on the Mom Pod Trail. We are going to continue that deployment until either this person is caught or we believe he's not in the area anymore. But our plan is to be vigilant for our community. Our community has been just tremendous with the support they give us and trying to figure out what's going on and calling in tips. And we're hoping that maybe even people from LA will see this interview and see that this person committed that crime there, and maybe somebody knows him. We believe and we hope that somebody who actually knows this suspect that's in the video will be able to identify him for us.
Forgive me if you said this. Are you revealing where the DNA was from?
No.
Sort of fingernail?
No, we're not going to reveal that.
That video was from Los Angeles.
That video is from
the assault.
Yeah, that is the suspect leaving the assault that occurred in March in Los Angeles.
Insecurity.
Yes. All right. Any other questions? All right. Well, thank you very much.
Thank you.
Okay, so the Andrew Kraft back here, we were just listening in there to law enforcement officials in Harford County, Maryland, describe a major breakthrough in this case regarding the
Not a bad
disappearance
theory either,
and
creepy
murder
Crystal.
of Rachel Morin there in Maryland earlier this month. I want to put up this tweet here and replay for you. See
That's
there,
weird.
this very short clip of what looks like this Ring doorbell camera. That was from March, and that was from Los Angeles, where the DNA that was found in the Rachel Morin case is linked to that individual right there who was accused.
He's having a conversation on the way out. You can see it. He's having a conversation on the way out. Hey, Callie, how are you? Good to see you in here. So he's having that conversation. Yeah, I mean, me too. And that's what I was saying before. Maybe this is someone that is familiar with that home, you know, staying there, maybe a relative or a friend, and he attacked this girl while he was in the house. And he's not. He gets a little rushy when he turns this corner. You kind of see it. And then Vanderhoof says, I think that theory is a valid point. It is very on point. Caterbug says, even if she's lying, his DNA is still connected to the murder. So to me, it makes that it's pretty credible unless they release more information. I must admit it, though. It's a strange video. It's a super, super strange video. I am not calling it a home invasion. The media is calling a home invasion. And we just looked at an article that was printed today that is still saying it's a home invasion and that it was an SA attack, sexual assault. So I don't know. It's weird. It's odd. That video is just very strange. And we'll pull it back up and we'll take a look at it.
Of assault and a home invasion back in March in Los Angeles. But authorities don't know who it is. They don't know where it is. He is, rather. They don't have an ID match.
He's having a conversation.
And so all we know
like,
from
get
this
out.
press conference today
see, like,
is the DNA that links that suspect to what happened there in March in Los Angeles is linked to what happened earlier this month.
So essentially, I'm guessing that he had probably intercourse with this young woman. He obviously left his DNA, which we know what kind of DNA he probably left. And there's no police report. We've tried looking. There's no police report. And then that was put into CODIS because it was an attack. They probably did not have this individual into custody, obviously, and he went on the run. And then now his DNA is come up as a match in Rachel Morin's murder. But you have to look at it, and this is very strange too. Let's think about this. Could it be possible? Because we read reports that Rachel was saying that she was on dating apps. Did she meet this guy through a dating app, went to the park to hook up with him, or maybe she has met him before a couple of times. They went to the park and hooked up, and the DNA they found was the kind of DNA that we're thinking about. We get there, something gets out of hand, he attacks her, drags her into the drain to leave the body, and that's where we're at. That could be possible, correct? What do you think about that theory? You know, we heard stories that she was on dating apps. She could have met this guy before. Maybe he ran from LA, came out to the East Coast, maybe had friends or family out here, you know, after that attack. He's on a dating app. Rachel meets him. She's secretly hooking up behind, you know, her boyfriend's back. She goes to meet up with him in the park. They start fooling around. It gets out of hand, and he attacks her and kills her. Again, you know, I don't know. It's a theory. So Callie says there's stuff that the LAPD is not telling, but I can't figure out why. Yeah, it's just very mind-boggling. It's a weird, and it's funny that they're not showing the video of him coming in, which is really weird. She has to meet him to break up, and he attacks. That could be it too. Maybe they've been hooking up. Maybe they met off a dating app. She's secretly seeing him behind a back. He says, well, let's just meet in the park and we'll have a conversation. She gets there and says, hey, you know what? I need to really break this off. This guy gets wild and attacks her. Maybe tries sexually assaulting her first, and then, attacks her.
On a running, walking trail in Maryland where Rachel Morin went missing, and then her body was found the next day, August the 6th. And so there you can see this right there, an attempt to identify with the photos, screen grabs from that Ring doorbell camera. Harford County Sheriff's Office putting this out, their Criminal Investigation Division saying attempt to identify homicide, Rachel Hannah Morin. She was a 37-year-old mother of 5. She was jogging on the Ma and Pa Trail in Bel Air around 6:30 at night when she vanished on August the 5th. She was found dead the next afternoon, the 6th, in what authorities have described as a, quote, criminal homicide. So we'll stay with this story, but a huge break in this, hopefully, and you heard there from law enforcement at the very beginning of the press conference saying the press conference was late because they had a lead they had to track down that ultimately turned up nothing, but they still had to track it down. They're getting lots and lots of tips, hundreds of tips in this particular case there. And so we'll see if this leads them anywhere, but it's a major, major break.
All right, let's go to Banfield. A couple of days ago, let's see, with the sheriff.
The man you just saw in that press conference, he's the chief deputy of Harford County Sheriff's Office. Colonel, we were talking last night and you hinted that you were going to have some information very soon. It turned out it was within a matter of within 24
Janet.
hours. So I'm really glad to have you back tonight.
True.
Thank
That's
you
right.
for doing this.
Yep.
Is there anything else you can tell us about the man you showed in that video?
Well, I mean, I don't know that I could add. You did a pretty good description of everything we're trying to get out there, especially the part where you said we're focusing a lot of our deployment, trying to make people feel safe on the Ma and Pa Trail because that's where this crime occurred. However, he was in March, he was in California, and in August, he was here. He could be anywhere in the country right now, and he still may be here. So we're trying to get that video out as far out as we possibly can because we feel confident that if somebody knows him, if they're familiar with him, even though it's just a side and a back view of him, all the things you pointed out, his gait, the way he walks, all those things, if you know him, you're going to be able to identify him. And we're hoping that somebody will give us that information. And, last night, when I was talking to you, go ahead. Last night when I was talking to you, we had just received that video and we were trying to work our way through it. And we were discussing it and the sheriff was adamant. He said, yeah, let's try to run down our investigation as best we can. But he was adamant, we need to get that video out as soon as possible. And then tonight was the time we were putting it out.
Well, I'm glad that we've got it tonight to show our viewers because we are a national program. So I'm not sure if I heard you correctly. We know about Los Angeles, about the assault there. We know about Rachel Morin's assault in Maryland. Do you know of any other locations or any other crimes where CODIS may have hit a DNA profile where he has been? Or do you have any suspicions of where else he's been?
No, that is the only locations we know for sure. But I mean, it's common sense that if he did an assault like that in California and then all the way across the country here, a few months later, he's doing another assault. I mean, chances are those aren't the only 2 times he was involved in an assault like that.
Can I ask you about the assault in California? Was it a sexual assault in California?
We're going to leave that to the Los Angeles Police Department to talk about their case. I can just say, kind of what I said in the press conference, that it was a home invasion and that he did assault a young girl in the house there.
And what age are we talking about? How old was the young girl in the house?
I don't want to talk about their victims, and I want to let them decide what they want to put out about that, honestly, at this point in time.
The only reason I ask is it might help with someone who might recognize that door, might know of a certain person at that house that fits that age description. I just anything that can help jar people's thoughts and memories as to who he might be and where he's leaving. They might know something about that location.
Yeah, I mean, again, I think I got to leave that to Los Angeles. I know they're working on their case out there, and I don't want to say anything about their case. It's their case.
I respect that. Can you tell me about the DNA that you found at Rachel Morin's crime scene?
I don't really, because as we talked about the last couple times I talked to you, we don't want to talk about where the evidence was recovered, what it was recovered from, because again, the suspect knows where we got that DNA, and we wanted to just be us and him and knows where that DNA came from until we get him in custody.
And I'd be remiss if I don't do my job by asking difficult questions like this next question, and that is, was
Absolutely.
Rachel sexually assaulted?
Yeah, again, I appreciate you have to ask it. Everybody does. But as we talked about, we don't want to say anything about what happened at that crime scene because, again, the suspect knows and we know at this point in time.
And do you think, Colonel, that Rachel knew her killer, or do you think this was truly a random selection?
Through our investigation throughout last night and today, when we got that video, we haven't been able to determine that she knew her. We are going under the belief that it was a unknown. He was unknown to her, and she was unknown to him, and it was a random attack there on the trail. So we're going with that. Just telling our citizens and our community to use caution when they're out in the community, not just on the trail, as we've talked about many times. Make sure you have your cell phone with you, but don't be engrossed in the cell phone. If you're going to wear headphones when you're out exercising, as many people do, don't have them turned up all the way where you can't hear what's around you. And most importantly, if you see something that you think is suspicious or something just...
That's a great point. And I always say this too, I see so many people that walk around with their headphones in now. And I think that's and I'm just going to go wide here for a second. I think that's like a very bad thing because especially I see a lot of younger kids doing it, a lot of the Gen Z, not so well, millennials as well, but I think I see a lot of Gen Z and then the generation that's coming up, ahead of them, because for me, when you're young and you're developing, your brain and your sensors are developing around the environment around you. So, those cues those hearing cues, you want to be able to identify a threat immediately, which would be like your eyes and your ears would pick that up, obviously. But even just, the vibration of the environment too, or if something just doesn't feel right, your intuition. And when you're artificially blocking out your environment around you and listening to music, your body is not being able to be in line with your environment. It's not able to gauge what's going on. And that's why I see a lot of these things in like active shooter situations where you see a lot of people getting hurt because they may have their headphones in or they're constantly texting, they're looking down, they're not paying attention. And I think that's a lot of things that we have lost in our society is that we're not actively aware of our surroundings. And I see it. People like texting and walking into people, or just people not even being aware. Like I could be out at like a mall and someone will just walk into me and they're just not paying attention. And, that's something that I always say, like, as much as everybody's doing that now, having their headphones in and walking around listening to music, I just think it's a very bad thing. It doesn't allow your brain to develop and get engrossed in the environment and feel and listen to that environment, just in my opinion. But that's really good that he said that. If you're out and you're in the specific area, don't have your headphones cranked all the way up so you can hear an audible cue, or you might hear something that doesn't sound right, and it engages you to look. All right, let's keep playing through here.
Doesn't feel right to you, act on those instincts and, one, get away, and two, call 911 and let us know.
Thank you for watching. Go to News Nation.
I always try to cut that off at the last minute I can. Janet says, I totally agree. It's a little sad to me. The gift of fear stuff. Energy is everything. Absolutely. I think energy is 100% everything. And we just don't do enough to feel around our environments anymore. All right, let's go to Banfield again. She's going to speak with the family attorney.
He's the attorney with Joseph Murtha. He's the attorney for the family of Rachel Morin. He's kind enough to join us live. Mr. Murtha, thank you for being here. Obviously, the first question, the most important question, how is Rachel's family doing and her 5 children?
Well, first, I want to thank you for allowing us to speak on behalf of Rachel's family and particularly to a national audience, as you've indicated. They're grieving. They have had an incredible loss. Rachel was a very dedicated mother, a dedicated daughter, sister, and very involved in everyone's life. And so they're struggling at this point. They just recently had the service for Rachel, and now they're moving on from grieving to wanting to embrace her energy and her spirit by having two public events. One is going to be a Trail of Flowers walk on the Ma and Pa Trail, and the other one's going to be a celebration of life for her at a church that she attended.
Right, and that's this weekend. We'll make note of that as well a little later in the program. What was their reaction to this news that the DNA strike on Rachel's crime scene matched a crime scene in Los Angeles where a young girl was assaulted in this home invasion we're showing on the screen again?
It gives them hope. The fact that there's evidence, scientific evidence that can be pursued, and particularly the thing that really brings them hope is that with a national audience, just like we have tonight, that there is somebody out there that knows this person. And they're asking that share the information who it is, have some humanity, recognize that this loss has caused incredible pain to lots of people, and tell someone who that person is.
There's been a lot of discrepancy in reporting on this crime. There was a witness who said he was part of the search party that found Rachel, and he described the scene as quite dire, that she was completely naked and that she was beaten to a point where she was almost unrecognizable. And, you know, it's hard to get that clarified. Can I ask you if you know what the facts are and if that comports with the facts of this case?
The family has stayed removed from the information that's being disseminated either on social media or even through law enforcement so that they can be supportive of one another and particularly of Rachel's children. So they have avoided the specifics at this time because they're really focused on how are we going to help one another, how are we going to help Rachel's children.
Understand. Did they think that Rachel knew this person, or like the Colonel, do they think this was a random attack?
They believe what the Colonel has indicated, that this was a random attack. Rachel, I don't think, had any enemies, and she had lots of friends.
Wow.
And so sadly, this was a person who randomly picked her out for what a horrific crime it was.
Well, and the Colonel just made news as well by saying that her boyfriend, Richard Tobin, very new boyfriend, is out of the realm of suspicion at this point. Was there a time the family thought it might be him? Because that's typically how investigations begin, with people closest to the victims.
The thing about this family is that they didn't want to cast aspersions upon anyone. They wanted to be supportive of law enforcement and cooperate, but they weren't going to interject their opinions of who may or may not have done it. They're allowing law enforcement to do that job, and as a result of it, have stayed away from that.
I want to show that video one more time. I'm going to ask our control room to run the pictures of the suspect in the California home invasion. There it is again, with that description. Let me read the description again. Low to mid-20s in age, 5'9", 160 pounds, Hispanic male, and it is, you got to just look at the way he walks. That's not something I can describe to you. You can just look at it. If you are across this country right now, somewhere between Los Angeles and Maryland, that's a lot of terrain. Take a close look. And if you think you know who this person might be, please call 410-836-7788 or 410-836-5430. Or you can send a tip to rmtips@harfordsheriff.org. Joseph, Mirtha, I appreciate you taking the time. Please give our condolences to Rachel's family. This has got to be just a harrowing time for them. And let's just hope and pray that they can find the person who did this.
Well, thank you very much. And the family is very appreciative of you allowing this information to go nationally.
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. All right, let's go to Brian Enton. Brian Enton from a day ago, going to talk about the DNA link to the California home invasion. They're calling it a home invasion.
Break right here on Banfield last night, a major breakthrough in the nationwide hunt for a violent killer. Rachel Morin, who's 37 years old, her body was found 12 days ago near a popular hiking trail not far from Baltimore, Maryland. Police have been working with almost no clues and no suspects, but yesterday that changed.
And in Rachel's case, DNA evidence was collected by our forensic services unit. That DNA was analyzed by the Maryland State Police, and it was ran through the National CODIS system. DNA evidence this DNA evidence has come back as a match.
All right, so that's huge news. An amazing technology that connected a home invasion and assault in Los Angeles back in March to the brutal murder of Rachel Morin 12 days ago in Maryland. Think about what technology can do. There's still some work to do, though. There's a lot. The person who left that DNA on both crime scenes, still unknown. Look at the video again closely. We've got the video, but they don't know where this guy is. Police released the security video from the Los Angeles break-in and assault. They're asking the public's help, hoping that someone could put a name and location to that suspect right there. I want to bring in Robin Dreek. He's a retired FBI special agent who ran the Bureau's counterintelligence behavioral analysis program. Robin, thanks for being with us tonight. I mean, this seems like the kind of breakthrough that doesn't come along very much, almost like something that investigators would dream of. I don't think anyone expected it. What happens next? I mean, do they have to actually get this guy in to get a full-on DNA match to actually connect him?
So what the first thing they're going to do is, and you're right, it's a fantastic break for them because it gives them another layer of investigation, another great data point for them to go to. And coordinating with LA right now is going to be really paramount. Looking at the victim out there to see if there's any similarities between the victims, and also trying to figure out what happened between March and now with this individual. I mean, there's a lot more to do, like you said, but it gives a lot of hope. Getting DNA, an actual sample from him specifically, once they will make an arrest, is going to be paramount. Also, mostly for defense and prosecution, because they going to want it really firm. Because every time you bring in a bit of evidence, you have to have a great chain of custody. You have to show how the lab did things properly, because defense will tear it apart. So it's not just taking it off the victim through touch DNA or something like that. They're going to want a really good, solid job of collecting that evidence when it does go to prosecution.
I was wondering, like, let's say they're not able to find this guy, but someone comes forward and says, I know who he is. This is his identity. This is who this guy is. But they're still not able to actually go arrest him. Could they go to his family members and take DNA and then use that to connect him back officially?
Yeah, it's a great question. They've been using that a lot. Matter of fact, just because they haven't put out in the Koberger case about how they did that kind of match as well, the specifics of it. But yeah, using family trees, they can identify through ancestry.com and places like that allow law enforcement to go in to see the family trees and relations. That gives great leads on relations there. So it is possible to do it that way. Again, it's going to come down to the jurisdictions, what kind of legal authorities they have, and permissions as well. But yeah, it's a great opportunity.
Yeah, and you bring up Koberger. I mean, that's what they were debating today in court for most of the day, that genetic genealogy. So I see what you're saying. They have to be careful once it does get into a courtroom. That stuff can get kind of tricky. I'm curious. There's been this theory that Rachel Morin's murder was a random act. Do you think this new development with this guy, with them possibly connecting it to him, goes to that point? I mean, where do things stand? Do you think it was random?
That is always the question, isn't it? Every time I think something's not random, it's random, and vice versa. A great trained investigator will always keep their options open. If you go into any investigation with a trying to prove what your theory is, you're going to miss absolutely everything. So I think going into it with a complete open mind, just like the surprise was like, wow, this is linked to LA. If they had gone into it thinking it was a local thing, they might have missed that entirely or overlooked it. So I think and that's what I love about the police department work in this and Harvard, is they're doing a really great job, I think, of seasoned investigators with an open mind, going where the leads and information bring them, and not trying to force it down there. So whether it's random or not, we've seen a lot of these things where we thought they were random lately, and they really weren't. I think she might not have known him, but he might have been tracking her. That's why I'm still interested in the social media aspect of the last victim in March that we know of, and her, and whether this individual was tracking him that way, maybe.
It's interesting what you say about detectives keeping an open mind. I hadn't really thought about that much until the Gilgo Beach murders, when we looked back at the investigation and there were people that they were zeroing in on and then ignoring other people because they thought it was someone else. I mean, that really does seem like an important component to these things, and it's probably hard to do. I'm just thinking about even the work that I do. You know, you kind of zero in on something and you get focused. But what if it's the wrong person?
You know, you great points there. Each of us is subjective to our own confirmation biases.
Yeah.
And if we're working solo, that's a real danger point. That's why we have surrounding us team members. We have what I call loving critics, people that are objective for us when we can't see the forest through the trees, because we get so locked into, we think we got the piece of information, the one that'll break the case. No, if you're looking at this one thing here, you might miss everything else over here because you're so focused on this. That's why working in teams is really important on these things, with great people with great experience, people that have the reps and the experience to know how to conduct the investigation, but they bring a childlike look at it, so they can look at it with a fresh set of eyes every single day.
Yeah, that's such an interesting point. Robin Drake, thank you so much for coming on with us on this Friday night. Really appreciate it.
All right, let's go back to Banfield. Banfield's going to talk to Robert as well. Let's see what Banfield says.
I mean, it's just kind of the simple question, but maybe there's so much more to it. They have DNA. They found a link to DNA on an assault in LA that they still haven't caught the guy. He's out there somewhere. They got the video of him. Isn't that like you do genealogy real quick and you try to find out who he is?
You'd hope so, but you know, we got to watch out for the CSI effect, and that is, it doesn't go like that all the time. If you have no data in, there's going to be no data out. And I was just researching the stats on this, and yes, there's about a 60% average if you are in the family tree databases that are uploaded, then accessed by law enforcement, and you are in the United States and of European descent. But if you're not in that database and family members aren't in that database, there's no data out. So this individual either has no footprint by design or by mistake. And so that's why there's no match. I'm actually shocked and at least hopeful that he was even in it from March.
So it's frustrating just to be able to see that person and almost have him in your grasp. And, you know, when I say nationwide manhunt, I mean it, because this happened in California. Rachel Morin was in Maryland. So it is coast to coast. And the fear is that he's going to strike again, because you don't just do these things and only do them twice, right? Thank you for watching.
All right, let's get the latest from Lauren Crime Network. We'll play this one out. This is the latest information here.
Instead of looking at the end of her life, we're here to remember her life.
Amen.
And the things that she gave everyone who knew her, not just her family, but the community in general.
Family and friends come together to remember Rachel Morin, a mother of 5 who was murdered on a running trail in Maryland, as the search for the man who killed her enters its 3rd week. Thanks for joining us here on Law and Crime. I'm Anjanette Levy. Rachel Morin's murder has shaken the small town where she lived in Bel Air, Maryland. Morin went for a walk on the Ma and Pa Trail in the early evening on August 5th and never returned home. The next day, deputies found her body off of the trail. Then the search for her killer began. The Harford County Sheriff's Office stepped up patrols, even buying a new vehicle to patrol the trail. Last week, a big break in the case came after sheriff's officials said DNA found at the crime scene where she was murdered came back as matching DNA from a home invasion and assault of a young girl in Los Angeles back in March.
Based on the DNA evidence, we consider the individual in the video we obtained from the Los Angeles Police Department and that we are about to show you on our TV screens to be the person that murdered Rachel Morin on August 5th. Based on our analysis of this video and witness observations, we believe the suspect to be approximately 5'9", 160 pounds, and of Hispanic descent. We want to make it clear that we believe the suspect acted alone, and he doesn't represent the entire Hispanic community of Harford County. who we are now partnering with to identify this suspect.
There's no word right now on whether police have made progress on identifying the man in the video. Over the weekend, retired NYPD Sergeant Joe Giacalone went to the Ma and Pa Trail to see what it was like.
Is the trail open or no? Can we go down there or no? Okay, I just wanted to make sure.
Giacalone found law enforcement on the trail. He walked down the path and came to a place where a makeshift memorial had been set up.
It's like a younger picture of them. Another pair of rosary beads.
Giacalone also found exit points for the trail.
There's a deep ridge here. You can see the houses right there.
Then on his way out, Giacalone came upon a vigil for Rachel Morin. Hundreds of people gathered to celebrate her life. She was just 37 years old and a mother of 5 children.
Giacalone.
A couple of people spoke at the vigil.
And the fact that this place was
Giacalone,
a area where she gained strength, joy, and solitude, and oftentimes serenity. In a very busy life, she came to the trail and she got in touch with nature and
we'll pull the video up after this.
That she had, particularly her physical fitness and her ability not only to walk but to run.
Joe, tell me what you found when you went to the Ma and Pa Trail over the weekend.
It was kind of surprised. I decided to take a ride down there to see what was going on for the trail for myself. And unbeknownst to me, there was a ceremony that was supposed to take place within about 10 minutes when I got there for Rachel. And, when I looked around, the crowd started building up pretty quickly. If I had an estimate, I'd probably say about 250, 300 people showed up for this event. But beforehand, I was able to walk the trail. I walked about a half a mile into it and just to look for places where if I was a suspect, where would I escape from? And, I found a couple of places where, and there was one service road, there's like an antenna, like a cell tower that had a path through the woods, led right out to a street and gone. So if he had a vehicle or something like that, that would have been an ideal opportunity for him to escape.
Did you see the actual crime scene? Were you able to find where you believe this happened? Leftover crime scene tape, anything like that?
Yeah, it's very difficult to try to find the exact spot. And there was a number of law enforcement officers there. I wouldn't ask them. And, it comes to a point now where it really doesn't matter per se exactly where this crime happened. I was probably there or walked by it, or at the very least. But you know what? You're dealing with I was looking for, like, say, maybe a trample in the woods where they had to bring a stretcher down, or law enforcement keep on going through. It was a heavily brushed area in many places. So, and there was a lot of culverts. Just try to imagine from the investigative standpoint, that's basically what I was doing. And just, overseeing this and saying, how could this happen? I'll tell you, when I was walking the trail, I didn't see a lot of people. So if you're walking, you have to be mindful of this, right? So I know the AirPods or all the other things, the distractions, it's always a bad thing. And I encourage people to keep, because they're noise canceling, right? So you can't even hear anything when you have them on. And let's put it this way, there was plenty of opportunity if somebody was going by that someone could jump out of the woods, grab them and drag them into the woods, and nobody would have ever seen it. It's pretty remote in certain areas, but in other areas, you can see houses right from the trail. So that's why I said there was only a couple of opportunities or a couple locations that someone could hide out and go undetected.
So it's pretty secluded. Ideal location if you're a criminal looking to prey on people, unfortunately. But you happen upon this vigil for Rachel, and her killer is still on the loose. They released the surveillance video last week that we still don't have a suspect identified or in custody that we know of. Maybe the cops have identified him and they're just keeping it quiet to track him down.
Joe described what he saw at the vigil, along with the mood there.
But there were family members there. I believe even the boyfriend was there too. I didn't engage anybody or talk to them because this is a private time. And I think everybody was pretty much, cognizant of that too. So nobody really, was approaching them per se, other than the family members. They had the pastor there who did some, prayers and talked about Rachel. And there was another gentleman there too that talked about Rachel. But it was all done respectfully. It was all done from an outpouring of community support, and tons of flowers and people there. And it was just nice to see the community come together. And I believe for the family, it's part of the healing process. They won't feel totally, whole again, I think, until this person is caught and brought to justice. But I think it's a good first start. And it was, I've never really experienced that per se. From a law enforcement perspective, you're kind of there doing security when these things were going on. But for being a bystander in this, it was somber, but it was pretty powerful.
At the end of the vigil, the crowd walked down the trail, many people carrying flowers for Rachel Morin.
How difficult is it going to be to track this perpetrator down? We have video, thank goodness. However, we have a kind of a side shot of the face barely, and then a shot of the back.
Well, considering he traveled from, Los Angeles, California, all the way to Maryland, right? So this guy either has a network of family or friends that he's going through to try to get to this location. He has a vehicle or he's obtaining vehicles. But there was one thing that I spotted in the video that I actually
Yeah, it's a
posted
good
on the
point,
Twitter feed.
Janet.
I said, did somebody kind of corroborate what I see here? When he's leaving the house, he's putting his phone, it looks like, in his pocket, and the phone remains on.
See, I'm glad that this gentleman is saying this because I talked about this before, and that's what I always found strange. I talked about this a couple of nights ago. Remember, if you were in here, I said that it looks like his flashlight is on or his screen is lit up, or maybe he was possibly taking video of this assault or photos. Remember when I was talking about this, we were kind of going back and forth when we were looking at the video on loop. I kept saying, like, I don't know, something seems weird. And it's ironic now that this gentleman's retired New York Police Department police officer is talking about this, because I did talk about this. Let's back it up. We'll go back over it.
Did somebody kind of corroborate what I see here? When he's leaving the house, he's putting his phone, it looks like, in his pocket, and the phone remains on. You can see it glowing the entire time as he's leaving. So from the law enforcement perspective, I think you're going to see the feds get involved in this, because you have now crimes that are now in different states. And I think the U.S. Marshal Service is out there hunting for this guy. And through the geofencing and through the triangulation, maybe that cell phone can play a vital role, right? We see how cell phone records, internet records, and surveillance video plays a role in just about every case. So far, we have 2 of those in this case. So for investigators, they have a lot to go on, and I think they will capture him, within due time.
I reached out to the Harford County Sheriff's Office to see if there had been a suspect identified yet from that video. I was only told that nothing else has been released since Thursday of last week. Harford County has set up a special email tip address. Anyone with information about Rachel Morin's murder or the man in the video can email rmtips@harfordsheriff.org or call 410-836-7788. For Law and Crime, I'm Anjanette Lee.
I love Anjanette Levy. She's such a great reporter. All right, let's do this. Let's do a quick stretch. We'll pull the video up. We'll look at it a couple times. I'm going to do a short stream tonight. We'll do a quick stretch. Just do me a favor on this quick stretch. If you haven't already, just go down there and smash that like button. Just takes 2 seconds to do. Put your DNA on that like button. I really would appreciate it. All right, let's pull up this video so we can loop it through a couple times. We'll look at it a little bit more, because I know everybody's kind of talking about the video, and we'll do that for a couple minutes here, and then we'll wrap this up. Quick stream tonight. All right, let's look at this again. See, the phone is on. I talked about that the other night. Let's go back to when it loops twice. To me, he does this like he's having some type of conversation with that specific person. That's what I always thought was weird, kind of like this. And then it almost looks like he gets pushed out and the door is pushed at him. Door is slammed. It's just odd. Maybe he got into this house thinking that there was no one there, had his flashlight out or something. I don't know. But he definitely took his shirt off, and definitely his pants were down, and he's carrying his shit. It looks like a jean jacket. Let's see. Right. Yeah, I don't know. Let's see. Yeah, that's a slam. Definitely slam the door. And it just looks like he's kind of negotiating with that person. Watch, he kind of does this. He's like, hey, like, and she does push him out. You can see the hand push at him. So we don't know if that's a parent or the person that he assaulted. He's got runner shoes on because the back of the shoes have those like reflective light on them. You can see when it picks up the light. Watch. There you go. You can see the... it's just a weird video. Looks like a nice house, has a nice door. Neighborhood looks nice, yard looks nice. It's just weird. And again, crime can happen anywhere. I'm just saying, like, I don't know, it's just really weird. What are y'all thinking? Type it in the chat. What do you think? Let's look up. Basil says, looks like a fist bump, someone on the way out. I don't know. Let's see if it looks like a fist bump. Yeah, Doodle has a good point too. Does an R usually take his shirt off? Talking with his hands. Yeah, it's odd. Let's see. He does this. Kind of like, hey, I'm sorry. Yeah, it doesn't look confrontational. Right there. He's talking. You can see him talking to whoever that person is. Let's go back. You definitely see him talking. Yeah, like a sorry, right? I'm baffled. I'm sorry. Yeah, like, hey, I'm sorry, Is that a window AC unit in the neighbor's house or metal bars? Those are metal bars. A lot of LA neighborhoods in and around those areas, a lot of the homes have bars. A lot of the houses have. Yeah, like my bad, right. Yeah, that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, hey, I'm sorry. See, that's definitely talking, definitely conversation going on. And the person is pissed. I wonder if this young girl, how about this? Maybe this young girl was home alone and the parents were out. He met her through like a dating app or something. I don't know. Maybe he met her through a dating app and she snuck him in. They did whatever. He went too far. She pushes him out. Parents come home. Guess what happened? I got assaulted. The home invasion maybe is, like a burglary, like he wasn't supposed to be there. I don't know. It's just odd. It's an odd thing. Ron says maybe he was invited over, forcefully left his DNA and told the parents he broke in as to cover that he broke in to cover for him not supposed to be there. That's a great point too. Kind of just what I was saying. That's a really great point, Ron. Parker agrees. Says, believe it or not, have a lot of cases where R's do take their clothes off. And then Victorine says, I think that she may be rushing him out with anger. Parker says, they may not have much time, but they had enough time to take their clothes off. But regardless, this girl is underage, so that crime is still there. 1,000%. Parker says, exactly. Mary says, I don't get the shirt off. You would think if it was an attack, maybe they would pull his pants down. It just seems weird. Lied about her age to him, quite possibly. I don't think he was caught by the parents with the daughter. Mom kicks him out. I think he was caught by the parent with the daughter. Mom kicks him out. But where is the brutality that's suggested by Bel Air sheriff? Yeah, it's just weird. It's a weird thing. And again, we weren't inside that house. We don't know what happened. We don't know what happened. And Victorine says the shirt off throws her off too. It's odd. All right, let's look at it a little bit more. I'm not going to, beat a dead horse here. We'll look at it a couple more times, a little bit more speculation, then we'll wrap this one up. And he's not running, he's like not running away. So it doesn't seem like he feels like he did anything bad. He was pushed out of the house. So it's just weird. He's not running, Huh. It's just odd. All right. Well, I don't know. It's still just a strange case. I would have thought by now we would have heard a little bit more, but that's the latest. That is the latest in this case. So hopefully we get some good updates soon for Rachel and her kids and that community. Again, if anybody knows anything, you can reach out to that number that the Hartford Sheriff Department had put up in their video. I want to urge anybody to come forward if you have any particular type of information that could be useful in this investigation, and we'll continue to cover it here. We'll continue to cover it here. Ron says, do dating sites verify age? Yes, but with anything nowadays, Ron, you can just fake your age. You can put in any age. That's how these younger girls get on these these dating sites and apps and stuff like that. You can put in your birthday and be 18. So it's just it's odd. It's really weird. And we're hoping that Rachel gets justice and the community gets justice soon, but we'll keep following this. I'm going to be back. I am off all week, so I'm going to be pumping out a lot of content. I'm going to be streaming a lot. So I'm going to get some things together tomorrow, put some shows together for the week. Maybe I'll try to get some guests on. I've been still outreaching to a lot of guests with ilk return, but that's okay because LTL will always move on. We currently are at our subscriber count of 8747. So let's update the big board right now. We're getting close to 10,000 subscribers, which is great. And that's all to do with you beautiful people being here night after night after night. Again, I urge you, if you're not getting my notifications and you're here tonight, just go down there and tap that subscribe button and turn all your notifications on. I also do a lot of communication through my community tab on my homepage. So go over there. But relatively, if I'm late at night, my streams are going to start at 9:30. If it's anything, it'll definitely be before that. So I want to thank everybody again for tuning in tonight. I will be back tomorrow night, maybe tomorrow during the day. We'll throw some streams up. I'm going to get a lot of content out. I want to try to race and try to wrap up and get 10,000 subscribers here by the time I have to go back to work. So we're going to work hard. We're going to keep pushing forward and, make LTL the best crime, true crime, and more podcast on YouTube. We're going to try to do that. So episode 63 is in the bank. We need to find justice for Rachel. Let's keep this let's keep this case in the forefront of our mind. We still have a lot of work to do here. And I know I'll have some Koberger streams coming up this week. And then I probably will do True Crime Across America, because I want to do that once a week and get caught up on some smaller cases that are going on that we do definitely need to bring to light as well. So you guys are all great. Ladies and gentlemen, I appreciate you all being here, being supportive of me and LTL Podcast. And I will be back tomorrow night. I hope everybody is well. Get some rest, and I'll see you back here. Take care. Good night.
Two, I'm confident enough that I'm always going to make money in something. If I gave up if I never sold another watch tomorrow, I could start selling paper cups, plastic cups, and I'll do good at it.